Okay, so we need to talk about the elephant in the room with Miss Coffey's kit basically being revealed that she is a entire cryo and hydro support, and Skirk is probably one of those two elements. We don't technically know what those, like, which one she is, but if you look at her, you could kind of just look at her and understand, oh, she cryo. So, also, in the nation of Natlan, the Fire Pyro Nation, we got 3 cryo characters. A little weird, but, you know, sure. So, yeah, a little weird. However, it is important to note there are a lot of strings here that is basically revealing what Skirk's kit is going to look like, or at the very least, her best in slot teams. So, what we're going to start off with is that Miss Coffey is an entire, support, right? She is only hydro and cryo characters work with her, and that is where she is at her, strongest. That is pretty good. So we could see Miss Coffey's kit and be like, okay, so Skirk is gonna need freeze, basically. And we also have this artifact set, which I won't talk too much about because it's very, it's very word vomit. I don't know. I haven't had a character to actually use this one to see how it works. I haven't understood this artifact set fully. Probably when Miss Coffey or Skirk come out, that set will be used on them. Because I also don't know if, Miss Coffey is actually going to be used on that set, because it's normal attack and burst damage. I think her damage is from elemental skill, but it's hard to tell from just the live stream. We'll see. So we have all that, and we can also sort of, just to make sure that we're on the same page, and this isn't just a one-time off release, which is like, oh man, she's freeze, oh no, but then Skirk is still like, oh, her best team is Melt. So we can look how Miss Coffey is sort of, freeze, right? But, that isn't anything to draw a conclusion and say Skirk is. But, even with just that, simply, no other patterns that you're looking at, you can kind of understand, Skirk is probably going to be cryo, wanting freeze teams, right? However, we also have Emily, and Emily was the patch before Kinich, who is a burn DPS, who is also Dendro, who also wants some help at regenerating his energy, albeit I don't know if that was the dev's intention, because what happened with, Kinich is that he, had this weird combo that I don't think the devs intended for him to have, if I'm being entirely honest. I don't think they did. I don't think they intended for him to have... I don't think they intended for Kinich to have, this, 5-hit combo, but it allows him to use Eon-san with Scroll Set, or basically any Natlan character with Scroll Set, maybe even Pyro Traveler, depending on what your team is. So you can have that Scroll Set, and that'll work out for you very well. And, Emily will be the character that you proc it with, because, let's say you're using Eon-san, Emily is constantly applying Dendro. You use Eon-san, react with Dendro, it'll be super easy to have the damage bonus up for yourself. And, there's no issues. So it is a really cohesive character with Kinich. Now, we can look at a secondary, instance where this isn't that great, honestly. Like, genuinely, it's not like, oh man, gotcha. It isn't. We have, Citlali and Mavuika. This one... The issue with this one is that they came out at the same time. Had Citlali came out an update before, then we would be easily able to point to this and be like, another, niche support that buffs the new character. However, it was the same exact thing. And I mean, it's not exactly like Melt was, Melt was niche in the fact that nobody used it because it was inconsistent, and, Citlali and, Mavuika now just have consistent melts. But overall, though, that's basically it, right? So, Citlali, she's niche in a way that it's just basically Melt, and it's weird. Citlali is a character that is probably, right there in terms of, niche support, because while, she buffs every single top-tier character, basically, or top-tier pyro character, right? She is niche. And, who knows? Maybe that could be what Miss Coffey is. Maybe, people have theorized, because, we do know she gets up to a certain... It was a pretty high amount of cryo res, I remember. I was kind of watching it, on my way to work. But basically, I'm pretty sure it's a pretty high amount. And it is based on the cryo and hydro characters. And someone gave out a really good team that I'm questioning... Because we were theorizing in the comments, right? Talking about Miss Coffey. Nevi, Citlali, Fiorina, and then Miss Coffey. Depending on Miss Coffey's off-field damage, it could be very strong, because these two characters getting, 70% Rice Shred or something, however much it ends up being, that's going to be pretty strong no matter what you say. And then, again, Miss Coffey will also have 50% or something, Rice Shred. It's a lot from what I remember. If I do remember, I genuinely have no idea. I watched the live stream, and it's gone out my brain. I could be just making this up, honestly. But, we have Nevi here. Like, it can work, and it is a genuinely good team. The only thing I would like to say against that is, like, Mavuika does like 500k on her initial slash at C0R1 on a Nevi team with her vape, because it's very easy for Mavuika to vape on that team. So, Miss Coffey is going to have to be putting up some serious numbers, which I don't think is impossible, right? Let's be honest. They know Freeze is completely trash, right? So Miss Coffey, she could be very strong. And basically all of this is to say, Skirk is looking to be a Freeze DPS on top of that, right? And it doesn't really matter how good, we are right now with Miss Coffey, because Miss Coffey is not designed for any of these characters that we currently have in game. Right now, none of the characters we currently have in game matter for Miss Coffey's design. Sure, they definitely were like, let's not just make all the old characters super strong. They're not wanting to do that. What they want to do, the manager comes over to the dev and is like, is Skirk the best, second best DPS in the game, best DPS in the game, whatever she ends up being. If she's the best DPS in the game, we are in for too much, I would say. I don't want to have another best DPS in the game. I think second best is where Skirk should fall. I don't think that it's good to have another, like, new best DPS in the game when, it's like Nevi, right? We got our best DPS in the game with Nevi, and then we got Arlecchino, right? They were very competitive with each other and very good. And I think that was a really good balance between, the characters, right? Not every character was on their level, but, I think that's what we'll see with Skirk. And I do genuinely think Miss Coffey, it doesn't matter what her design is now. If she comes out and she is complete dookie, I'm going to be honest, it doesn't matter. Because what's going to happen is, oh, Skirk released. Would you look at that? Oh, Miss Coffey is on her best team. And I forgot to mention that Miss Coffey heals. We'll see how much it is in game, but I expect it to be a decent amount, because, like, even if you look at Shieldon, who's doing a whole bunch of other stuff on top of that, right? Shieldon can do some pretty good stuff. Ooh, yeah. And I completely, it missed my brain, but Citlali will be able to hold scrolls on that, Nevi team, because, well, normally I run Instructor on my Citlali, but scroll set will be a useful one for her, so I need to farm that up. Sad. Yeah, so it'll be interesting. Miss Coffey is definitely a sign that Skirk is at least going to have a very competitive, Freeze team compared to her Melt team, at least. But most likely, my personal, like, what I think is going to happen is Skirk is going to come out and she's going to have, gain X amount of stacks of Sword, Spirit, Summit, whatever, Shaker, and then when you do a freeze reaction, and that'll increase her damage. She can have like an Arlecchino mechanic, but the more you trigger freeze, and just her damage will ramp up. That would be interesting. The more times you trigger freeze, the higher her damage goes up. So she's really good in AoE content, because you'll be able to freeze a lot of enemies really fast. And then, she'll be the sort of polar opposite of Mavuika, who just does her initial slash, a lot of front-loaded damage. She will just build up to her damage. It'll be interesting if that's what I actually like that design. If they go with that, I really like this. But yeah, we're gonna have to see what Miss Coffey does. And, I'm thinking the biggest determining factor for how good she is her off-field damage. And if her off-field damage is good, we're cooking. If it's not good, we're not really cooking that hard. If it's not, I do think that it'll be good, though, because they've made, for characters who are supposed to do off-field damage, like Mavuika, like Fiorina, right? I completely forgot to say, like, this is a lore important character. So yeah, her getting another niche 5-star to support her, yeah, it makes sense. Because if we look at this, like, it's been a pattern the really, like, lore important characters, like Nahida, like, you know, Fiorina, like, you know, Mavuika, the really, really big guys, right? When it comes to, like, you know, mega Archon story quest, you know, plot, you know, they get their supports. Arlecchino didn't get support, but she didn't need it, right? She really didn't need it. She was just really strong on her own. So it wasn't like a huge, you know, thing. Would have been a little better if maybe Lenny was like a pyro support or something. I don't know. Is that these really, you know, god tier level characters, I'll say. Right, they are god tier, you know, with Fiorina, Nahida, you know, Mavuika. They get their partners, you know. They got Nevi, they got Alhaitham, they got Citlali, and or Shelonin. It depends. Mavuika got 2, and I think it's probably because of her Night Soul restriction that she got 2, but Mavuika got 2. So it's very, like, easy to just say, like, oh, can Skirk get a dedicated 5-star support that comes out for her? Yes. I think the answer to that is yes, and I think that is what we are seeing. I think it is very obvious that Skirk is going to be a freeze DPS. We'll see, you know, maybe she'll be like a team shared damage, because we have to understand, we have Miss Coffey, we have Fiorina on probably all of these teams, and depending on how good Miss Coffey is, like whether she provides more support than I understand, because I mean, it's been a couple days since I've watched, you know, the live stream, obviously, but you know, the damage that this team could do just off field is gonna be pretty good. You know, we'll see, but you know, will it replace a, you know, Risley team? I don't think so, because Risley team, when you have him at the C1 level, which is where I, you know, look at him at, he is going to be just way better in melt, because you can easily, consistently, you have to be doing a lot, because I mean, you also have Mavuika doing all field damage on the melt team, and then you also have Shelonin buffing and rice shredding already, and you know, it's a lot. And Risley, he's not really, you know, we'll see. He does do a lot of attacks, so possibly if Miss Coffey buffs a lot, then she could just, you know, because, you know, Mavuika's not buffing those, well, she is, but she's not really, like, affecting those, you know, normals before his charge attack all that much. He does do some melts that, you know, get up to 100 and something thousand, right? Pretty good, but we'll see what Miss Coffey brings, but also it is a big sign that Skirk is going to be freeze DPS. This was a bit of a hybrid video of just like talking about Miss Coffey and what she can do, and then also just, you know, talking about Skirk, because, you know, Skirk seems to be probably going to be linked to this character pretty heavily, okay? Because you know, and that sucks for like Skirk wanters, because what it could end up being is, oh man, you know, we want, you know, Skirk is going to be so good with Miss Coffey, and then it's like, man, you can either take that, you know, you could either like be like, oh yeah, okay, so she'll be really good with Miss Coffey, right? So I'm gonna get Miss Coffey for Skirk, and then you get her, and then she ends up not being like overly, oh my god, we need Miss Coffey for Skirk. And you're kind of like, well, I could have saved for Skirk, maybe get C1 for Skirk. That's also another thing. Like, will it be better to get Skirk C1 or Miss Coffey? Who knows? Who genuinely knows? So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to end this video. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.